we're waiting, what I will let you know that if you have questions or comments, you can put them in the chat. Okay, well, great. It is straight up 6 o'clock. I'm so excited to be here and to tell you about this program that I am, like I said, I'm just really excited about it. But it's the 12 steps to turning fatal mistakes into cash results. Over the years, with me working with so many business owners and entrepreneurs, I've come to learn a lot of the things that we do that really drains our bottom line. So in this webinar, what I would like to do is place emphasis on those things that we can turn around and to increase our cash flow. So I want you to get pen and paper because I would like for you to take a lot of notes. There's a lot of good stuff that I'm going to be sharing in this webinar that I think could benefit you, okay? So get pencil and paper, go ahead and get that now while we're waiting for other people to join us. Most important thing is that I will share breakthroughs that my clients have experienced. And you will also look at some of the things that you're doing and maybe what you're not doing. And it'll give you some insight as to how well you're minding your business. So just to kind of set the stage for this webinar, this is not about adding more hours to your workday or adding more work to your plate. But basically what I would like to share in this webinar is to help you to prepare to take leaps and breakthroughs to multiply your revenue and to turn your business into a money-making machine. I think all of us will want our business to do that. If you look at the effort that we put into our business and what we're getting out, is there an equal ratio there? So this webinar is not for beginners who are just getting started. They may have a concept or an idea in terms of what they want to do, but this event is for CEOs, business owners, and entrepreneurs who've been in business for about 5 years or more. They're at that point in their business where they're really tired of the long hours, low cash flow, or where you may be experiencing some outdated strategies that just not working right now in this very fluid economy that we're in. And as a bonus, if you stay through the webinar, I will do a live Q&A to answer whatever questions that you may have and help you find the answers, okay? I will let you know that this is a 90-minute session for business owners and entrepreneurs and CEOs, and those who are making 6 or 7 figures, and they're ready to take their business to the next level. As an extra bonus, I will also answer questions that you have around finding that balance between quality of life and spending more time with your family. And I think so important today that we are also more interested or wanting to leave a legacy and build wealth, in terms of how we leverage our company, the time and energy and effort that we invest. So before we get started now, by putting this information in the chat, I would like for you to tell me your name, your company's name, how long you've been in business, and what is your product or service. So take a minute and do that in the chat. And I think I have some people who are joining me on Facebook. So you can either respond in Facebook or you can respond here in the webinar. But take a moment and put that information in the chat or in the Facebook, in the comment section. So I'll know who the people are in the audience. Okay, so the next question that I would like for you to answer is, how many of you want a business model that is designed to be sustainable and it does not rely solely on you to run if you're there in the business or if you're not there in the business to run the daily operations? So in the chat, I want you to put, yes, I would like to have a business model like that, or no, I'm happy where I am. Great. Thank you, Keela. I appreciate that. Awesome. 7 years. Pretty good. Like that. Hi, Marvin. Great to see you. Thank you for being here. Great. Thank you. Awesome. So before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about my story, who I am and what I've done and why this is so important to me. So as I told you earlier, my name is Renzi Richardson. I'm the business coach. I'm the president and CEO of BHFL Group. I'm a business coach, author, and a strategist. I've coached and trained more than 500 businesses and leaders that are in the federal space as well as the commercial market. And just to give you an idea of who my clients are, They're in the trucking, professional services, construction, IT, training, entertainment, and personal care industries. So I have a very diverse group of customers. I am so excited that the 12-step signature coaching program has been featured in these print or digital magazines, especially the New York Daily. I'm really, really proud of that. And we've also been sponsored or featured on podcasts. We've been featured on the Black Enterprise Experience with Dr. Francis Richard. We've also been featured with Business Radio X here in the Georgia area. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is that I was interviewed by Forbes magazine, and I was quoted in there in the magazine. I think it will be, if it hasn't been released, it will be released soon. But I was really proud that I was quoted in Forbes magazine. So these are some of the things that I hope will help you to understand our experience, our credibility, as well as, all of the experience we bring to the table in working with business owners, entrepreneurs, and CEOs. So I'll tell you about my story and how I got here and some of the mistakes that I've made. So first of all, when I was in corporate for about 22 years. And after a period of change in management, I was kicked out at the prime of my career. I started my first business in 2008 and failed miserably, not knowing what to do, how to do it. I floundered and I wasted a lot of time, effort, and money because I didn't have a plan. In 2010, I lost my home. I went back to a 9 to 5 because sometimes, when tragic things happen to us, we go back to what we know. Okay. And so that's what I did. I went back to corporate, but that was also a turning point for me because knowing that I was in a place where I really didn't belong, but trying to force a fit. And then with a lot of stuff that was going on in the workplace with incivility, bullying, and all of that, I had an anxiety attack. And it landed me in the emergency room. And this was in Birmingham, Alabama. I should have never gone to Birmingham, Alabama, but lessons learned. What I'm most grateful about is that going to the emergency room, being prescribed medicine and all of this stuff, one of the most profound things that happened to me, and I do believe that everything is by divine intervention. I don't believe that things just happen as mishap, but there was an African doctor. He was doing a rotation throughout the US. And at this time, he was doing a rotation through one of the main hospitals in Birmingham, Alabama. The lady that was supposed to treat me was scheduled to do my appointment. For whatever reason, she was absent. So he felt he had to fill in for her because he was on rotation. But one of the things that I felt that was so profound, and with him just being there to do the examination, he realized, he said, "You healthy?" He said, I don't understand why you ended up in the emergency room. So I told him a little bit about my story, but the most profound thing that he told me, he said, "You don't need medicine." He said, "You just need the courage to fly." And it was I just felt a relief. I just felt a relief that I knew what I needed to do, but I needed someone to tell me to go do it, to give me permission to do it. And so by talking to him and just having that moment with him, it gave me the courage. It gave me the courage to leave what I knew was not a good fit for me, being in corporate America, and coming back to Atlanta. So I came back to Atlanta. I relaunched my business. And it was one of the most important experiences in terms of, having the confidence to relaunch my business and where I am today, and just knowing that I am a much better entrepreneur than I will be anybody's employee. And so looking at those experiences, what I've been able to do is to take all of the lessons that I've learned and wanting to apply those lessons to my clients to help them to fix or turn around their companies and just to help them to achieve their vision, their goals for prosperity. What I want to just bring and really focus on, and hope that I do a really good job in telling you about the benefits of the 12-step signature coaching program, is that I've used this coaching program, this techniques and the things that I've done over the years. I've used this with so many businesses here in the US that are some located on the West Coast, East Coast, DC area, all over Florida. But also I've used this program with some of my clients that are located I have a client in Dubai, one in Saudi Arabia, and I also helped a US company that was based in Africa. So I know these techniques, they work. And I've had a diverse group, clients that I've used these techniques to help them to define where they are and to create a strategy to help them get to the next level. I'm so excited and proud of the coaches that we have. One of the things that is so important when you're in business and you're trying to grow or scale your company, one of the most important steps you can take is to understand what your strengths are and what your limitations are. So I have a team of specialized coaches, and they specialize in marketing, finance, operations, sales, business systems, and they're experts in growing and turning around their business and scaling and helping these companies, these small businesses to scale and to grow. Our clients and my clients are predominantly they're women, Black-owned and minority-owned businesses, but that's not to say that I don't help all. I think if we look at some of the, I guess you say, research and statistics, there is a need. We have minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses that need that extra help. So I know that the programs that I offer, they really do help the clients that I serve. So in my book, Go Big, A Boss Attitude for Success, I take a look at how companies have overcome fatal mistakes and how fear and this attitude of good enough, how that attitude really, it paralyzes and it blocks our potential to grow. And if you understand growth and you have a vision for your company and how it could serve not just yourself, but how it can serve your communities. A lot of the stories that I have in the book, Go Big, A Boss Attitude for Success, it gives you an outline. It tells you about stories of companies and people just like you and I who started out from humble beginnings, and they were able to grow, overcome obstacles to be able to become a successful company. When you think about the word boss, and I was very intentional using the word boss. But during the time when I wrote this book, this was during the time when we were all locked down and shut down. But I also had an opportunity to spend a lot of time with my customers. And I wanted to take this acronym, and sometimes boss has such a negative connotation to it, but I wanted to take the acronym and turn it into something positive. So for me, this program that I designed and the book that I wrote is designed around this acronym, which stands for is built on spiritual strength. Over the time of the last 3 years, I have been able to see very, very profound and courageous acts of faith. I'm seeing companies be resilient. And also, in spite of the lockdown, the shutdown, and some of the financial struggles we've had over the last couple of years, I've seen these companies also experience breakthroughs. So it's not about the time, but it's more about your mindset. The book, along with the 12-step signature coaching program, some of the things that you will experience, first and foremost, it will help raise your awareness. Sometimes when we're running our business and we're in it, we lose awareness of the things that really matters to you as a CEO, where you're the leader, you're the influencer, you're the person that getting work done through others. And you're the one that take this strategy and make sure that you're executing the business against the strategy. It'll also bring awareness to what those things may be that may be your blocks, but not only understanding what those blocks are, accepting those blocks. And now you have a willingness, or you open to look at other options to say, well, how do I change this? If these are blocks that are keeping me from being successful, how do I shift my mindset so where I can have a breakthrough to move beyond those blocks? Also, this program will offer you a customized roadmap. One of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years studying businesses and working with business owners, no two companies are in the same stage in their business. So our program offers a customized roadmap specifically to your business, as opposed to taking a cookie cutter approach to say you apply these same principles and you will get the same outcomes, because that's not true. You will also have an opportunity to adopt new behaviors. And there's a whole different mindset when we're talking about growing our business and getting to that 7-figure, 6-figure, 7-figure threshold. There's a mindset behind that. And so if you have a mindset that is limiting, and we'll talk about that later, you're defeating your possibilities of achieving that goal. And the most important thing is that walking away with understanding your role as a catalyst. Because as a catalyst, it's important that with this shift, it's important that you're the catalyst that will help your team come along. Whether you have a team of 2 or whether you have a team of 50, you have to be able to take this message and you have to be able to share this message with your team to help them to change and align themselves with your goal. So now I want to shift and just talk about, what these 6 fatal mistakes are and how they impact us. So in this part, I'm going to talk about the 6 fatal mistakes. What I've learned over the last couple of years is that a lot in terms of when we think about the success of your business and your role in that equation, there is a direct relationship between the ratio, not ration, but ratio between you and you as the CEO and the outcomes that you want to achieve. So those two, you as well as this ratio, is dependent on each other. And you'll see what I'm talking about as we go through the presentation. Because as the CEO, you're the catalyst. Everything begins and ends with you when it comes to the vision of the company and the strategy, being able to have strategies that you can execute. So the first one, and I talked about it a little bit when we talk about ratio, is that not growing your revenue equals 3 times the cost of your overhead. So a lot of times, and Marvin is on the call, he could probably chime in and talk about this too. Oftentimes when we hear business owners say their revenue is flat or they're somewhat stagnant in terms of growing their revenue or coming up with strategies in terms of growing their revenue, well, the downside of that is that the cost of your overhead. And if you look at some of the costs that's part of operating our business, a lot of it, a high percentage of it is, the cost of doing business. So when you're not focused on growing your revenue, then how does that take away from your bottom line? And what does that look like when you measure your overhead costs? And so it's so important that you understand that your company's growth and your capabilities equal to your potential to grow. So as a tip, and this is something I use with one of my clients, to help her to step outside of her comfort zone. I told her, if you want to grow your revenue by 30%, you must be able to flex your CEO muscle by 70%. And so by her understanding that equation and understanding how to apply it, now she's in a position where she's ready to grow. And I am so proud of Heidi. This is her company, it's Infinite Ideal Consultant. When I first met Heidi was here. She had just relocated here to Atlanta and from the West Coast, but she always wanted to have the opportunity to go back to the West Coast. So some of the strategies that we've worked on, as well as with one of my CEO coaches, they've been able to work with her to help her to take a look at her business. And she's on target. Her trajectory for 2022 is on target where she'll probably, if not more, she'll double her revenue to where she was. When we look at baseline, she'll double her revenue to be in the high 6 figures. And now she is positioned for amazing growth. So that's one of the things that I really, really love about her. And she's very coachable. And the ratio is the secret. She's learned that if she wants to grow her revenue by 30%, that she has to be able to flex her muscle by 70%. So some of the things that I've seen her do over the last year is being in control. And she was able to achieve the goal where now her business is bi-coastal. She was able to keep her business office that's located in California, as well as maintain the office here in Georgia. So I'm really excited about that. When talking to her, as well as with some of my other clients, one of the things that I think I could connect to, as well as just understanding the shoes that you walk in, is that I know what it feels like to have a big dream, but you don't have that wind beneath your sail to help you elevate that dream. But out of this program, what I'm hoping that you will get is that you will find your opportunity to create a customized path to your dream, to achieve those goals and the outcomes that you would like to, when it comes to your revenue, as well as duplicating who you are, making sure that you're not tied down or handcuffed to the business. Like I said, over the last 10 years, I've been fortunate to see that the program and the strategy and the formula that we use, I've been able to apply this to my clients who are in the federal market. Some of them are hair care, retail, entertainment, but also in a host of other industries. It doesn't matter the industry that you're in, but you do have the opportunity to walk away with a customized plan. So the second mistake that we make is, I call it suffocation by the status quo. And just as a factoid, a couple of things that I found that was really interesting is that 20% of small businesses will fail in their first year. I thought that was just astounding. But what's even more astounding is that 50% will fail by year 5. And I think some of us have gone through that experience, what we call the 5-year itch, meaning that if we get past that 5th year, the probability of us being able to stay in business, it goes up. But also by year 10, only 33% of small businesses, and that's women and minority-owned businesses, will survive. And so of that number, with the stat, they said only 5% of minority businesses will survive and become either at that level of millionaire or multi-million-dollar enterprise. So here again, I look at these numbers, and for me, these numbers are stacked against us. So what do we do in terms of how we can flip this or turn this around? But if we have the mindset of, the status quo, all it will do, instead of it working in your favor, status quo, what it does is that it depletes your opportunity to grow. The second one is, when we talk about status quo, one of the things that I found interesting just working with CEOs and entrepreneurs and just business people in general, I have met CEOs and business owners who will spend more time planning a vacation than the time that they will invest in business development, revenue growth, and their personal growth. Those are the 3 key areas when we talk about multiplying your revenue and duplicating your effort. There has to be a strategy that's focused around business development, revenue growth, and your personal growth. And what we also fall into this mindset that, even though we may be aware that we're at that plateau of, just relying on or living in the status quo. The other side of that is that you may not feel the pain points, but what's happening to your business is that you're allowing your business to become a relic. It's no longer relevant or competing with your competitors. The impact of this also is retaining your customers and your employees, and why there's a decline in the revenue, why employees where the employee retention is low, or where you see customer retention is low. So when we start pulling back the layers, we see the relationship between the two. But the goal of the 12-step signature coaching program is to allow you to examine where your company is now. If there are things that you need to pivot, let's create a plan for you to pivot and then, position the company to grow to the next level. In my book, Go Big, A Boss Attitude for Success, what you will see is that there's a compilation of strategies on how to grow your business, especially, like I said, I especially wrote to women and minority-owned businesses to help them to overcome a lot of the missteps and the things that we have fallen into when we think about the status quo. And there's a lot of things that go to that mindset of the status quo, and we'll dig into that a little bit later. Helping you to shift from where you are, if you feel like your business is or you're operating within the status quo, the coaches that I have, and we come together as a team to help you to identify what your concerns are and how to maximize your revenue. But also we take a deep dive to take a look at if there are fears that you have about growing your business. And believe it or not, some of us do have fears about growing our business. We do. But we help you to take a look or become more mindful of that and to build in a strategy around you and support you to help you to get to the next level. So in the chat, and I want you to think about growing your revenue 5 times what it is. So what would that look like for your business, and how will it give back to you? So I want you to take a minute to think about that, and I want you to put your comments in the chat. And so while we're in this path, I want you to stretch your mind a little bit more. So not just thinking about what your revenue could look like, if you were able to grow it 5 times, But I also want you to think about, for your business, how would you grow your business? How would it have an impact on the people that you would like to hire for your business? How will the growth have an impact on the profits? I want you to think about those things as we go through this exercise. So the secret to growing your revenue 5 times what it is today, it starts with this phrase that I coined, as I call it, VLIF. And VLIF is your vision, your leadership, your energy, and your focus. So with your VLIF, and everybody is different for everybody, but at the end, some of the outcomes that you can experience is increase your customers, increase your sales. And the reason why those two are the top two is because with sales, with customers, the best way to increase your bottom line is to look at growing your customer base, look at your sales. Also, the most important thing is that your employees will love you. I think one of the key assets that all companies have is their 2 assets, your employees and your customers. Those are your 2 greatest assets. But not only will your employees love you, but your customers will love you also. We want our customers to choose us time and time again. So it goes back to your belief and whether you're able to leverage that to retain your customers, to retain your employees, grow your sales, and also increase your customers. When we talk about your heart ratio, I look at a company is not just 4 walls with computers and all of this stuff. A company to me, or your business, is a story. And you're writing this story, you're writing every chapter in the book. But for you to be able to do that, you need your leading players or your team to be a part of this story. Also, be the purpose to make a difference and become the catalyst in your company. Like I said, for me, a company is not a building with 4 walls, doors, and all of this. To me, your business, you're writing the story of your business every day, and it should be a bestseller, okay? But in order for you to write that story, you need to have key players that are part of that story. And you want your story to be more about than making money, but are you using your story, which is your business, to make a difference? When we talk about allegiance and alliance, you want to be able to inspire your leaders and your employees to invest their time and energy in the company. But in order for them to do that, you have to be able to share the story. You have to be able to share your vision, to say why it's important that they participate in writing the story and what are their roles and responsibilities. A lot of times when we think about our business and giving other people and trusting our employees and our leaders to be there to help us to write the story, but also with your customers. Sometimes I believe that your customers are your best ambassadors, okay? If you are providing a great service, if you are meeting and exceeding their expectations, your customers become your greatest ambassadors. And oftentimes your customers can have solutions for you too. Sometimes I've seen where businesses treat customers like, as they are standalone, like it's a transaction. You want a product or a service, and in exchange for that, I get money. But there are so many customers in the companies that I know who does it best, is that their customers are like family. Their customers, they are on first name basis. Their customers feel that if they have an idea, if they feel like they have a vested interest in the companies. If you're treating your customers like a transaction, that's exactly what's going to happen. There will be a transaction. But the goal of it is that with your customers, you don't want them to be a transaction. You want them to be an investment. You want them to be an investment in the business, just like you are an investment in them as your customer. The next one is sometimes we have a tendency how we sugarcoat how suffocation and how what's happening in the business is hurting you, but also how it hurts the business too. I've seen this so many times working with my clients, new clients coming in, sometimes called in to do a consultation. I see sometimes what we do is we take a Band-Aid and we put Band-Aid to disguise the problem and to make it seem like it's not true. You can cover a cut up with a Band-Aid, but eventually that Band-Aid comes off, okay? There has to be more than putting a Band-Aid on a cut or something that is injuring your business, as well as it inflicts injury on you too. So we have to think about, some of the things or the stories that we tell ourselves, as opposed to saying, it's time for me to accept, that my business is in trouble and I need to do something about it. And this is one of the quotes that I really love is that, and you probably have heard this quote before, but insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, but we expect different results. Okay. Sometimes our dysfunction becomes the norm. And you don't want your business to get to that point to where it's dysfunctional. And now that sets the norm, not just for you, but also for your team. The 12-step signature coaching program, in order for us to be successful and to support you to get to that next level, what we have to do, the coaches, our coaches, they surround you in helping you to understand and leveraging what your success traits or attributes are. We leverage those attributes. And also we look at those areas where there may be limitations. And if you're mindful of your limitations, you will know how to compensate for that, okay? So one of the things that as part of the 12-step signature coaching program, we not only do an assessment of the business, but what we also do is that we do a CEO assessment. If we're positioning you to be a CEO to scale your business, well, we got to know what you're working with. You have to know what you're working with also. So we do a CEO assessment so you can see what your strengths are, but it also allows the coaches to understand, what those limitations are, where they may be able to go in and help fill in for those limitations. And we all have limitations. We all have strength, but we have limitations. So if you know what your limitations are, how do you compensate for those and how do you work around those? So Marvin put in the chat in terms of his attributes, develop a great relationships with my clients and have a positive impact on my employees. Those are two key assets. I totally agree with you. Another quote that I love, and I use this quote over the years, is that denial is a weapon. It kills the truth, it numbs the mind, and I was a junkie. So he talked about his story in terms of him coming to that point of acceptance in order for him to grow. And so this was one of the quotes that I used over the years in terms of helping my clients to measure where they are, come to that point of acceptance to say, I need help, and then allowing and being coachable to get the service or get the support that they need. Some of the conversations that we have, and this is fun stuff here that I want to share with you, but some of the conversations that we have when we talk about the status quo and not, I guess you say, accepting that, where we are is having a difficult or having an impact, a negative impact on the business. Here are some of the conversations that I've heard over the years, like turning a blind eye. The self-talk is, this is my zone and nothing like that happens here. So, and the mindset is that out of sight, out of mind response. But when we do that, you're pushing away things that have an impact on the business. And if you're doing that, are you managing that risk, or are you using that mindset of turning a blind eye? Another self-talk, oh, this is an isolated incident, not necessarily a huge deal, prevalent enough for me to be concerned about. So here again, we're kind of taking that mindset of minimizing things, or I call it packing it back in the box and putting the lid back on it. Well, just like you packed it in the box, at some point it's going to come out of the box, okay? So you have to be able, as the successful CEOs, they realize the risk that they have in terms of those risk factors and the impact on the business. And they're very responsive to say how they deal with it. They don't wait for it to become a big problem, but they deal with it when it's a small problem. Another self-talk is, yes, it's an issue, but I can't do anything about it. Things just will work out on its own. And if we think that things are going to work out on its own, is that a smart, move on your part to think that way? Or are you allowing that thing to take over your business? So, if you plan to achieve the revenue and the level of success that you're looking for, the most important thing, and what I would want you to do coming into this program, is that I want you to start with awareness, ownership of, what's working and what's not working, and being open to develop or creating a new plan to achieve your results. So another factoid that I want to share, because sometimes when we think about millionaires and wanting to achieve that goal, but believe it or not, about 80% of US millionaires work their way, work for money. And only about 20% of millionaires inherited their fortunes. So a lot of the millionaires that we have, they work for their money to get it, to be able to get to that status. So if you think about tech companies, there's a lot of industries where over the years they're self-made millionaires. So one, I love April Stewart. I believe she's out of the DC area, but she's a self-made millionaire at the age, she's in her 30s. And she was able to come up with a financial coaching model that allowed her to grow her revenue and achieve that goal of becoming a millionaire in her 30s. Just to tell you a little bit about her story, April once lived paycheck to paycheck, with minimal savings. She grew up in a low income household where she wasn't taught anything about money. Okay. There wasn't enough of it to, for it to matter. And most of us may have come from a background or growing up where we lived in the moment. The money that we made was there to take care of the immediate needs. It wasn't about, having enough money to set aside. So, just like in her story, for a lot of us, we came from, where we started. We started from a place where money was hard to come by. But she taught herself personal financial principles, and she's taken those principles to transform her relationship with money. But she also used these same principles to help her clients as well. So that's one of the reasons why I love her story, to say she came from humble beginnings. But just because we come from where we start doesn't mean that that's where we have to end up. I know for my children, I tell my kids all the time, I'm your beginning, but you have an opportunity to create your lifestyle, what you want, based on what is open to you for what it, in terms of you creating your lifestyle. But I want them to understand that I'm just their beginning, but not their end, where they end up. So like I said, with her, she was able to take all of the things, what she learned growing up, how she was able to transform her relationship with money to become a self-made millionaire. And I think we all have that opportunity. Even now, more so, we have that opportunity because we're more aware around building wealth. And also, most of us want to leave a legacy for our family too. Being able to take our significant experiences around failure and taking that and leveraging that to work to our advantage, that's the path you want to take. But if you choose not to take that path, you're having a direct impact on your team, on your business. Over time, you will notice that you will disengage, your team will disengage. And over time, and some of you may be here where you feel like your work is a burden. But if you're there, you're still at that point to where we can help you to turn around your business. We can help you to find your why. All of us have a why to say why we started our business. You do too. We can help you to find that why and help you to re-engage your business and position you to get to that next level. Some of us, when we're in this place where we feel that we're disengaging, another way in terms of how we manage that behavior is that we become even more controlling, or we're micromanaging everything in the business. But if you're trying to micromanage the business, your employees are unhappy. If you're trying to micromanage the business, you're not allowing the business to grow. It's just like if you're trying to grow a plant, and one of the things that you're doing is that you're suffocating the plant. It's just like your business. If you're micromanaging the business, are you suffocating the business? In the chat, and I think and I'll pass this because I think this came up in one of the other interactions that we had. We talked about, our failure. And over time, it's more likely that if we have another failure in our business, how will we deal with that failure? And so here, I think all of us will agree, it's likely that we will have another failure because that's part of growing. But if we do have a failure, that doesn't necessarily mean that it has to cripple your business. It's about understanding and creating a plan to help you to mitigate your failures, and also making sure you have the right experts or coaches in place to help you to mitigate what those risk factors are. Okay, one of the things I want to share, because mindset is so important to our ability to grow and positioning ourselves to grow. I love one of the stories that I love is about Secretariat. Secretariat was a horse, but one of the unique things about him is that back in, I think this was back in the early 70s, that he was named one of the 20th century's 50th greatest athletes. But one of the things I liked about Secretariat is that he lost a major race. And what he did, his caretaker, Eddie Sweat, he said that when he lost that race, it was like he couldn't believe that he lost the race. And so in his stall, what he did, he stayed in the stall for a little, for a long time. It's almost like he said, like he was going over the replay of the race and trying to figure out what he did wrong. And so in the next race, he came back, and this was the one that he won at Churchill Downs. As a matter of fact, as a kid, I remember this race. The last race that he had, he came in last place. And so at this race at Churchill Downs, he came again in last place. But for whatever reason, he was able to come back and he was able to win that race by 2.5 lengths. And so he has set a record, and that record still stands today. But if you can imagine, if you know anything about Churchill Downs and the length of that track, he was able to run that race in 2 minutes. That's remarkable. It's absolutely remarkable. And then he came back and he won. He is the first Triple Crown winner in more than 25 years. In all of the races that he's won, he set a record as the first Triple Crown winner. But the race at Belmont, he won that race by 31 lengths, not 2.5 lengths, but 31 lengths. So if you get a chance and to take a look at his story, it's just phenomenal to say that he was voted as one of the top 50th athletes during his time, okay? And so the reason why I want to share that and to go back is to say the lessons that we can all learn from our mistakes, we can take those lessons and turn those lessons into winning formulas. The next fatal mistake is that the mistake of going big. And Marvin probably has seen this as well as other people have seen this too. I've seen over time where, we are afraid to grow and to scale our business. We're afraid of, I don't know whether you will call it, we're afraid of success, but I have coached clients over the years who have the potential and have everything it takes to grow, but they're very comfortable with staying where they are. The company is nowhere near, being the 6-figure or the 7-figure that they want, but they're very comfortable and they're afraid to step outside of their comfort zone. One of the things about being a business owner is that sometimes we have to take risks, but when we take a risk, we take a calculated risk, meaning that we have taken the time to look at the pros, the cons, and to weigh everything out. And sometimes we have to take that leap of faith if we want to get to the next level, but we can't get there if we're not willing to take that leap of faith. That's one of the areas that I've seen over the years working with some of my clients and just meeting minority women and minority-owned businesses is just that fear of going big. So if you're a small or a mid-sized company, business owners do not know where they are at any given time. You have to be able to measure where you are, but you also have to have that mindset, that money mindset, in terms of being able to understand where you are, where you want to go. And if that next level requires you to take a risk, then what is that step that you need to take? But it's not about taking a leap of faith blindly. It's about taking a leap of faith with strategy. What I would like for you to do in the chat, I want you to participate in this activity and to see if you can identify where your business is. As I stated earlier, a lot of times one of the things I think what make us different in what we do and what we offer and why it speaks to our success is that we do not treat all companies the same. We use a strategy of understanding the 5 phases or the 5 stages of a business. So right now, what I want to do is share with you what our 5 stages are, okay? So as an example, the first stage is the Pathfinder. At this stage, you have put everything in place. You have all of the foundational work in place. You've got all of the things that you need to have in place in order for you to operate your business. More than likely, you're wearing multiple hats, and you realize that being a business owner, is somewhat complicated. In this stage, what I've found that typically the business is a one-person operation. You are doing the sales, customer service, keeping the books, you're marketing, you're doing everything. You are also keeping long hours trying to stay afloat. The work is exhausting, but you love what you do. You also may think that, you can't hire staff, and it's a much better use of the money if you, instead of hiring staff, that you take that money and you put it back in the business. So if you're in this stage, this is some of the descriptors that describe what, the phase of a Pathfinder. The second phase is survivor. In this stage, you're driving revenue, you have, some steady cash flow, you have an ideal of your product, you have an idea of your product or your services and how your product or service meet demands. You also may have some regular customers too, but the business has plateaued. A lot of times in the survivor stage, the business, if it has not plateaued, is beginning to plateau. The company is experiencing some leadership problems. You are wearing, here again, you're still wearing multiple hats and not able to multiply your revenue opportunities and duplicate your effort. So in the survivor stage, the opportunity is there, but sometimes in this stage, the business owner is really inundated with dealing with problems with the team dynamics, dealing with a lot of their issues in the company, and you're constantly in that reactive mode. In this stage, you're too busy to create a high performance team and succession planning. You spend a lot of time focusing on sales and marketing and keeping your customers, and likely you have a few contractors and employees. You may also be micromanaging the business, because if you're dealing with problems in the business, your mindset could be, it's easier for me to do it than to have someone else do it. Or you may have that fear of losing your business, because now you're having your contractors and your employees, they play a significant role, and your blind spots will expose you to some risk. And one of the risks are, the decline in your revenue, or the disengagement of your employees, or losing your customers. And in this phase, you may feel stuck. And in these two phases that I mentioned, this is where our coaches are able to come in and help you to move from being the Pathfinder and to get you to that next level, which is survivor, and helping you to have being more aware of what some of those blinders are, or triggers that can help you to fall into that downward path as you are moving along these different phases in your business. I'm Maestro. At this stage, you are experiencing some growth. You probably have leaders that you're leading, okay? Or your leaders are leading teams. At this stage of the business, the company is operating full throttle, and you're being challenged by the different layers in the business. Sometimes in this phase, instead of bringing in the right talent that you need, oftentimes what happens is that we are still at that stage while we're trying to corral everything ourselves and looking at, and sometimes we become placated with people who are started with us and who have been with you for a while. And sometimes we have to make tough decisions. One of the decisions that we make when we're thinking about growing our business is that if you got key leaders in place, a leader cannot take you somewhere where they've never been. So if you've got a key leader, as an example, you have someone who might be an accountant, and their function, they're great at being an accountant, but with you growing and scaling your business, now you need someone who functions as in a strategic role as a CFO. So understanding that, you have to be able to make those tough decisions. If we understand that the goal is to grow the business, growth is just like a rose bush. Sometimes if we want a rose bush to bloom, sometimes we have to prune it. It's the same mindset sometimes that we have to have with our businesses, that we have to make tough decisions in order for us to grow the business. The challenge is sustainable growth, because parts of the business is dysfunctional. You may be experiencing drama with your key leaders. Sometimes what's happening is infighting, where leaders are undermining each other. Employees are beginning to disengage. Customers also at this stage, if you're in that Maestro phase, you also have to be mindful whether you have high turnover and if you have customers who are leaving you and they're looking for better options and better services. Also in this phase, the business owner is struggling to stick with the plan and spend a lot of time reacting and putting out fires. This is the time, or in this phase, this is when I've observed and coached business owners who have disconnected with their why. They forget why they started the business. They're feeling a loss of control. They have doubts about whether they can trust themselves. They also have doubts about whether they can trust those key people around them. And at this phase, this is when a lot of the business owners, they're beginning to feel high levels of stress, unhealthy coping, and, they're also experiencing an unhealthy lifestyle. Realization. In this phase, the company has a well-defined vision. The leaders and the workers, they know the vision and they know the plan. The business has a few key affiliate relationships, and they're planning strategies to expand, to multiply their revenue and duplicate their effort. You're probably thinking about, in this stage, is it the right time for us to look at other locations, expanding the business, or having other divisions or other locations that could be regionally, they could be local, or they could be nationally. But in this phase here, the company is healthy and they're ready to grow, their position to grow. People are invested in the company's success. Employees are engaged in self-directed activities, and they're very innovative. This is a type of culture where employees are coming together to innovate new ideas. They want to be a part of the dream. They want to be a part of the vision, and they're vested in it. You have perfected the art of influencing your leaders to lead the team. They have a level of autonomy to get things done, solve problems, and to innovate new ideas. And this is part of growth. In order for us to grow, you have to be able to innovate. One of the ways that I think you can innovate is understanding how to multiply your revenue and duplicate your effort. A strategic focus is on driving revenue and what I just said, but also in this realization phase, the business owner is beginning to look at succession planning. And the succession planning is happening organically in the organization for a lot of different reasons. For one thing, organic growth, where you're growing your talent, is that it protects the brand. It protects the company in terms of, I guess you say, solidifying what works and what doesn't work. So by growing your talent in-house organically, you are able to create the talent or duplicate what you need in order to expand. One of the experiences that I had being able to do this, I was working for a higher education institution. At that point, we wanted to expand. I think we had probably about 10 campuses, but we wanted to expand. And the target was 35 campuses nationwide. So what we were able to do is to grow our talent in-house. We taught them everything that they needed to know about the finance. It was a 13-week course, training course, where we trained the campus leaders to know what they needed to know in order to duplicate our effort, but also multiply the revenue. So it was a very, very successful project initiative. And those are some of the things that I've learned over the years when we talk about multiply our revenue, duplicate our effort. The same formula that we applied to this organization, this company, we can apply it also to our businesses. 5, you're gliding, At this stage, you can let go and focus on new frontiers to grow the business, to expand vertical markets. You are about the business, but you're not in the business. You view the company from a panoramic view versus being on the ground. At this level here, as the business owner, you're looking at the business from a whole different plane or plateau. You may also be considering, evaluation, public offering, or scaling the business to grow and to look at how you can leverage that to expand the company. So now I want to tell you about the 12-step signature coaching program. For the program, the first cohort has started. So the next one starts from April the 2nd through May the 7th. Okay, that's the next one. It's a 6-week program, and part of the program is that you will, first and foremost, we will do a business health assessment because we have to figure out where you are baseline. We also do an intake coaching session. And part of that intake coaching session, working with that coach, it allows us to dig down into your assessment and to gather more information about where you are and where you desire for the business to be. And as I mentioned earlier, we also do a CEO baseline assessment because one of the key factor to your success is understanding your strengths and understanding how to leverage your strengths. But for us, it helps us to understand what your strengths are and what we can do as your coaches to help mitigate those areas where you may not be so strong. And so it's important that we do an assessment on the business, but we also do a CEO assessment. And then there are other tools and resources that is part of this kit that you will, what we call the boss box that you will receive. And so some of the nice things that are in the box is that you will get a boss t-shirt, you will get a notebook that has Mind Your Business on the book. You will get a tote bag, but there's a lot of things in the book. As a matter of fact, I can show you a couple of things. This is one of the books. This is Big Joe, the Rainmaker and Nephew Leach. Another one, as I mentioned, this is the notebook. You can use this notebook, doing your coaching sessions to take notes from your coaches, but this is a way for you to keep all your notes in one place. This is the book. This is Go Big, A Boss Attitude for Success. This is what I'm most proud of. And I think that this is what makes us unique and what makes us different. A lot of business coaching programs is that you have an opportunity to sit down and talk to a coach, but do you walk away with something tangible that you can hold on to and refer to? So in this workbook, this is over 60 pages in this workbook. And throughout this workbook, there are exercises and steps for you to take along the way to help you formulate your customized growth plan. So this is one of the things that make us unique, is because we have a guided workbook that will help you to get from where you are now and to take you to that next level. So those are some of the gifts that you get. And I think what I wanted to do, yes, we have to do the assessment, but also I wanted to give out some fun things that we like too. When I'm thinking about my business and reflecting, I love to enjoy a cup of tea while I'm sitting back reflecting on what I've been able to accomplish and, what are those next steps. So these are some of the things that you get, but the next enrollment is April the 2nd through May the 7th. And we're taking enrollments right now for that session. And the cost for that, for the 6-week program, the 12-step signature coaching program, is $1,500. And if you enroll today, I will give you a VIP coupon for you to get a savings of $200 if you enroll today. So like I mentioned earlier, in the Go Big, A Boss Attitude for Success, there from chapters 8 through 12, it helps you to lay out a plan. And your coach will also use this as a resource to help lay out your customized plan to grow your business. As I mentioned, a lot of us, when we got started, I wish what I know now, I know, when I started my business in 2008, because as a point of reference in my neighborhood, we did not have any business owners. The person that I knew as a business owner was Sonny the shoe shine man, or there were men and women in our neighborhood, they were hustlers. They were hustling to do odd jobs, like a lot of the day-to-day housework jobs, doing day jobs, field jobs and stuff. But it was all about making ends meet. We were not thinking about, if we were able to put money away for tomorrow. We were not thinking about, having this big vision of doing anything else in terms of what we were doing, because we had that mindset of scarcity because, back then, what we earned, a lot of the people during the time that I was growing up, it wasn't that we were all earning extra money where we were able to put it back. But over time, I think that one of the things that I had to think about is that was a fatal mistake to my business is I had a mindset of scarcity. With that mindset of scarcity and being influenced by what I saw, yes, I came from a lifestyle of where people work hard, but I realized that I took that scarcity mindset. That was a place that I came from in my business. So over time, I've had to learn to change my mindset. If I wanted to grow my business, I had to be able to step away from that mindset of scarcity. For me, it was hard to think about investing in the future when I wasn't able to meet the current needs, the present needs. So by having that mindset, it really did, I think it restricted the growth of my company. But it also, if we keep that mindset of scarcity, it inhibits our ability to invest in our business and to be able to think outside of the box and to be able to say that you're willing to take a look or take that leap to have a breakthrough to change what's happening now and to change the focus or the trajectory of your business. Are you creating trust in relationships, multiplying possibilities, or are you restricting growth by coming from a place of scarcity? And sometimes we do that for a lot of different reasons. From one business to another business, we want a service or a product that someone offer, but we're not willing to pay the value, or we don't see the value in that. And so you have to think about, if we have that mindset of scarcity, or we have a mindset where we don't see the value in a product or a service that someone is offering, how does that impact you in terms of how you see your customers, how you see your employees, but also how you're structuring your business? Are you positioning your business to grow? Or are you creating a mindset, not just with yourself, but also now with your customer, with your employees and your leaders, that they're also adopting this mindset of scarcity? It's kind of hard for scarcity and being prosperous. It's hard for prosperity and scarcity to live in the same space. You got to think about that. It's hard for prosperity and scarcity to live in the same space. You got to think about what it is that you want to achieve and creating a plan to get there and shifting your mindset. So in this phase here, I want to talk more about, letting go to grow. So in the 12-step signature coaching program, we start with your vision. We want to understand what your vision is and what your desire is to grow. And so by helping us to pull back the layers to understand what your vision is, it helps us to create a plan to help you to realize, your goal, or your goal to grow, and to help you realize what your vision is. With your vision, it is located in your heart, in your mind, and it holds a place in terms of the future, what your future is based on your beliefs and what you want. It is surrounded by faith, possibilities, and a path to achieve. So when you think about your vision, this is my definition for your vision, okay? You have to think about where you are and where you want to go, but you have to be able to visually see that in order for you to achieve it. You have to shift your mindset to where you are now and creating that vision, or having that vision where you would like to see yourself in the future. Most important is that you, as the CEO or the business owner, your vision is linked to everything. If your vision is inhibited or limited, so how do you think that that's going to have an impact on your business and the growth, your possibilities to grow? So as an example, over the years, these are some of the frustrations that clients or people have engaged me as a consultant to help them with. My left side, when you see poor leadership, poor sales, marketing, customer service, talent problem, cultural problem, and low profit margin, in those conversations, it was all about, these are the problems that I'm having, that I'm dealing with. But then when I pull back the layers and to take a look at the vision, it always came back to the vision. And oftentimes when I asked that question, what is your vision? They were not able to answer the question or have a clear understanding of their vision. So what I would like for you to do is that when you have a moment in some quiet space, what I want you to do is that I want you to take a moment, get in a quiet space, and I want you to clear your mind. And I want you to do this exercise for about 2 minutes and be able to see what your vision, what do you see in the next 2 years with your vision for your company? I want you to be able to see what is your big vision for your company in the next 5 years. By year 10, I want you to see that you started at 2, you started at 5, And now I want you to see where you are in 10 years. So that's an exercise that I want you to think about and to do on your own when you sign up for the program. This is one of the things that the coach will talk to you about, or to help you to revisit this exercise so we can get an idea to where you see yourself in 2, 5, and 10 years. So this is what is the request that I just asked. So if you are able to see yourself in the future, it helps you to connect to your why. And for me, my why is that I'm so passionate about helping women and minority-owned businesses. And the reason why this is so important to me is not just about helping, the business owner, but I believe that if I can help them create jobs with livable wages, that will have a direct impact on the sidewalk businesses and shops in our communities. So that is why this is so important to me. It's about helping you, but if I can help you, I hope that this growth is going to create jobs with livable wages that's going to have a direct impact on these ecosystems that keep our communities alive and healthy. And one other thing I want you to think about is that, in you deciding where you are in the future, in the next 2 to 5 years, where is your commitment in terms of your vision? And how do you see your vision playing out in terms of you being successful in achieving? It's not just about money, but also that bigger vision for how you want to utilize your talent as a business owner. How do you want to leverage that and your vision to have a greater impact? So think about how your purpose, your vision, and how you can use that to help create a difference and make a difference in terms of our community. The next question is, when you think about your vision, the next question I have, do you have a roadmap to achieve your vision? Because it's one thing for us to think about it, but the next step is that you've got to be able to put it into action. And what is the cost of not planning to achieve your goals, to multiply your revenue and to duplicate your effort? What is the implication and what is the impact of that? Is it positive or is it negative? And you have to think about where you are today and where you want to be in the next 2, 5, or 10 years. So as I mentioned earlier, part of this program is that you get the 12-step signature coaching program. But in part 2 of the book, we help you to create that plan, to help you to figure out exactly what that plan is, and also to help you execute the plan. In order for you to get big results, these are some of the things that we will help you with. We'll help you to understand how to influence and lead by example to build a high-performing culture. We'll also help you to get the best people in the right seats. I call it getting the right butts in the right seats, okay? It's just like that old analogy, who's in the seat, who's the driver. We will also help you assemble, if you need help in terms of running your company and you don't have the right players in the right seats, then we will help you to find the right players to build out your team. And it's so important that as you experience success, that you celebrate success, that you celebrate your success as you achieve your milestones. But it's not only just celebrating your success, but you also want to spotlight and showcase success. Your team members are contributing and you're showcasing their contribution to the company's success. And when you do that, it reinforces the company vision. And also the most important thing is that we want to measure and track your success and see how you hit each milestone. After you complete the program, you get 3 additional coaching sessions where we will meet every 3, 6, and 9 months so we can see if you are able to sustain and you're actually executing the plan that we help you put in place. So those additional coaching sessions are in place where we come back and we check in with you. And I've mentioned this earlier, but part of the CEO assessment is for us to help you to understand what your strengths are, to create awareness about your blind spot and how to leverage those strengths to grow your company or to be that catalyst for your company. Because a lot of the things that you do as a CEO, like I said, it's not about you doing the work. It's about you influencing others to get the work done and building that tribe and that momentum in the company in order for you to get to that next level. Most important thing is that, how do you want to put your vision into action? How do you stop thinking and behaving in a way that's holding you back? And these are all of the things that we'll talk about. In some cases, I've had people to say, Renzi, you know what, this sounds really, really personal. Or the feelings that I feel are some of the things that are coming up for me is that I feel, I feel hesitant. I feel like this is an area that I don't want to explore. So they feel conflicted, meaning like I had one CEO who said, yes, I want to grow, but I'm not, I just don't want to show all of the things that I've done over the years, all the bad things that I've done over the years. And this is what this process is doing, is making me feel exposed to the mistakes that I've made over the years. And so I had to turn that conversation around and say, it's not about exposing those mistakes, but how do we leverage what you've done over the years, what you've learned over the years, and how you can use that now to position yourself to grow. So that's the most important part, is that if we are coaches that will enable you to stay where you are, then I need to close this down. This program is not about enabling you to stay where you are, but supporting you and elevating you to get to that next level. That's what I do, and that's what my coaches do to help you to get to that next level. And we have to know where these gaps and these holes are, because we want to make sure that we fill them up so you don't fall back into that hole again. And here again, if you're in stages 1 through 3, those are areas where you have to think about where you are and how you move from stage 1 to 3 to get to that point to where you've got a management team in place. You've got a plan to grow your revenue. You got a plan in place to manage turnover or to mitigate turnover. And you have systems in place to help you that will support the growth of your business. So these are some of the things to think about, your big vision and what's in place that could be holding you back. As I mentioned earlier, if you're in the Pathfinder, Survivor, or Maestro, if you're in one of these 3 stages, this program, as well as if you're in stages 4 and 5, that this program, this 12-step signature program, is ideal for you in terms of helping you to get to the next level. Some examples in terms of growing your business when we talk about multiply your revenue and duplicate your effort is that looking at, is there an opportunity for you to add a new service or product line? One of the easiest ways in terms of growing your business is looking at, are you in a position to buy another business, what we call merger or acquisition? The next way is create a new market to sell your products or your services. So, if you're a local company now, are there opportunities for you to expand and to open up in a new market? Okay. And identifying high demand markets. One of the things over the last 3 years is that there was such a need, where new emerging markets came out of the last 3 years because there was such a high demand. So you have to think about opportunity. You have to think about looking at mergers or acquisitions coming together with another small business. So there are opportunities in terms of how you multiply your revenue and duplicate your effort. But here again, our team of coaches can help you to identify what that is and help you to customize a plan to get you to that next level or to get you on a trajectory for you to achieve your revenue goal. And if you do it right, some of the things that you will experience out there, and the goal of all of this is to help you to increase your revenue, having higher profit margins, for you to have more money to put back into the business, having personal gains where you're having quality time for yourself, your family, and your loved one. When we talk about, making an investment in you participating in developing or expanding your CEO skills, one of the things to think about, some people say, what, this is a very scary time. Why should I take the time to invest now in growing my business? And my answer to you, how can you not take the opportunity now to invest in your business? And here again, this is an opportunity for us to provide to you a team of experts that can elevate you and your business to help you to achieve or to get on that path or trajectory that's going to take you where you want to be. There's never going to be a perfect time when you talk about, whether you're going to invest in the growth of your company, scaling your business or your revenue. I think right now the market that we're in has created a lot of opportunities for us to look at growing and scaling our business. But if we're looking for a better day or another time to do it, there is no perfect time, okay? And so that's one thing about being a CEO, is that being able to take calculated risk and being able to take that leap and being able to have a breakthrough to say, I'm willing and I'm ready to look at where I am now and to create a path to get me to that next level. What I want you to think about as we go through winding up this webinar is that what could your life look like, a year from now? If you did nothing from a year from today, how do you plan to accomplish your vision? And how likely will you make the changes on your own to accomplish your vision? Those are a couple of questions that I want you to think about. Okay, learning new ways of thinking and actually doing are two different things. I want you to learn, a new way of thinking, but part of that also is, wanting you to walk away or come away from this program with understanding exactly what things you need to do, what steps you need to do to achieve that goal or that dream that you have for your business, okay? And by not getting the right support, when you hit that brick wall again, think about this. How likely will you revert back to your old habits? Or will you, on your own, think of new things to do? Or will you get there much faster by having a team of coaches to support you and being part of a structured work program that provides you with a roadmap, but also tools and resources to help you get to where you want to be? If you feel like you're at that point to where you would like to talk to a coach, in the chat, just put a thumbs up to say you feel like you would like to explore having a conversation with a coach. Just put that in the chat for me. Also, think about this too. Are you ready to see your potential outside of the box that you're in right now? And if you are you willing to work with our 12-step signature coaching program to give you that opportunity to stretch your legs? So just wrap this up, just to tell you about a few other clients that I've worked with. This is Patricia Morgan. When she came to me, she was at a point in her business where, she needed support to scale her consulting firm, and she wanted to take her firm internationally. So she allowed, and I had the privilege to support and coach her and to help her to scale her business from being a business where she was, in that infancy stage to now she is recognized as a nationally or internationally known training business. So that's one of the things that I really liked about working with Patricia, is helping her to take her business from infancy to now where she is now recognized as an international business. Another company that I work with is Brendan and his daughter, Kara. Brendan, when I met Brendan, he and his daughter started a company that provided support services to companies that were in the construction industry. But over time, understanding exactly what they wanted to achieve. And one of the things that they wanted to achieve out of our relationship is having the opportunity to meet key construction companies or have key relationships that would allow them to grow their business. So that was one of the things that I enjoy in terms of working with Brendan and Kara, to help them to build these lasting relationships and introducing them to people in my network that allow them to grow their business. They are doing excellent right now and just poised for a lot of growth and success. So, like I said, the next program starts April the 2nd through May the 7th. And if you're at that stage where you're ready to enroll, just let me know and I will get you the information so you can learn more about the program, and then set you up to have a one-on-one coaching session so we can go through your initial assessment to make sure that you're ideal fit for the program. Just to give you an idea of what you get, I want to go and just take a deeper dive. As I said earlier, you'll get a free business health assessment. We do an intake coaching session. We also have you to do the CEO baseline assessment, so we see exactly what your strengths are and what areas that we might need to support. The CEO baseline assessment will give us that insight. We also will identify exactly which stage your business is in, if you're in stages 1 through 3, or if you're in stages 4 through 5, okay? Another step is helping you to clarify exactly what your vision is, because if you don't know where you're going, you're likely to end up anywhere. It's so important for you to be successful within participating in the 12-step signature coaching program, is that you have clarity around your vision, because now that we know what your vision is, now we can help you to develop this customized path for success. Other things that we take a look at, we evaluate your sales and marketing. We look at your strategies in terms of how, or if you have strategies to duplicate your effort and to multiply your revenue. We also evaluate your leadership style. All leaders don't lead the same. So if you know what your leadership style is, and maybe in some areas where you're not so pronounced and your skills are not so pronounced, you can mitigate that. As an example, if you're someone very, very logical and you don't have the skills to build rapport, we want you to be aware of you operating in that mindset of being a very logical person, very matter of fact, but also understanding if that is your leadership style, how can it have an impact on your team? And what are some other ways that you can mitigate, if you're more left brain versus right brain? Also, you will walk away with a roadmap in hand that's specifically for your business that will show and tell you how to increase your revenue. In addition to that, these are all some of the freebie or other things that you will get in your boss box. You'll get a copy of Big Joe, the Rainmaker and Nephew Leach, Go Big, A Boss Attitude for Success, free boss t-shirt, the coffee mug, and the tote bag. You'll get a 65-page workbook for the 12-step signature coaching program. We also have additional handouts and reading material. It depends on where you are with your coaching, and if your coach want to provide you with additional reading material to help illustrate a point or a strategy that we want you to know about. You will also receive additional handouts and webinars. We will also have guest speakers who will talk to you about their road to success in terms of how they grew and they scaled their business. This is a flyer that talks about the program and, why I came up with the program. But the key things we want you to walk away with is a plan and understanding your role to as a catalyst to change your company or put your company on a path for growth. Also, having greater confidence in your leadership skills, being able to be that influencer to get the results that you're looking for, and being able to change, being able to be more agile in the way that you think, in the way that you react to stressors, okay? But walking away and understanding how you can measure your success. So those are the key takeaways that we want you to get out of this program. These are the dates for the program. The next one is April the 2nd through May 7th. The cost is $1,500, but if you enroll tonight, you will get a VIP coupon that will give you a discount of $200. So the next step, you have a couple of steps here. If you're ready to learn more about the program, you can start by completing the short survey. And if you are interested, just put in the chat to let me know to send you the short form, and I'll send this to you so you can complete. That's one option you have available. The next option is, if you're ready, you can go ahead and enroll in the program. And this is the link for that, is www.mindyourbusinessnow.com/get started. Okay. And if you're ready, I can also send this to you in the chat. Or, if not, if you need more time to think about it, take some time to think about it and follow up with me, and I'll provide my information in the chat for you. But at this time, what I would like to do is open up to make sure the mics are open to see if anyone in the webinar had any questions or comments or anything that I can assist them with, about this program.
Hi, Renzi. This is Keela. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Keela. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm so happy to be here. And when that notification came across my email this morning, I had to be here. I respect you. I know what you do, love what you do. I'm looking forward to working with you very soon, very soon.
Renzi, this was really, really good. I think it's going to do a lot of good for a lot of businesses. And I think just the depth and breadth of what you're going to provide is what I see with working with a lot of my clients is what they need somebody to come alongside them and really help them to understand all the intricacies of being a CEO, what that really means, and how to take their company to the next level. Because as one of the things you had mentioned in your presentation was about, you can get comfortable. And I've seen some of my clients who get comfortable. And I think that is such a horrible place to be, because what's the point? I mean, if you don't have aspirations beyond what you're comfortable with, and I think your program will help a lot of these people to work through those, those issues and develop some vision, that's much greater than themselves. And you said it earlier as well, about the why. You want to get big because you can do a lot of good. If I've got a lot of capital and I've got a lot of access to a lot of different things, I can do a lot of good. And you can have tremendous impact in our community. I think that's the best why of
Oh my
all.
gosh, yes. And that's what matters to me, Marvin. That's what matters to me, is that I know that collectively, if we are creating jobs with livable wages, that currency is flowing through our communities. And if that currency is flowing through our communities, now we become part of that whole ecosystem that supports those communities. But on another note, the other reason why, if we are creating jobs, we become part of the gross national product,
Yeah.
and,
Yes.
and these companies create policies. They create policies, institutional policies, okay?
Yes.
And so
Yes.
it gives us a bigger seat at the table to impact or have a conversation or have a voice about institutional policies that are affecting our businesses. And so that's at the end of the day, it's about creating jobs, because it's creating jobs, and because we're in a very capitalist economy. And so when we're creating jobs, and the jobs is driving taxes and everything else that influence our economy, now, we get to have a voice about those policies that are impacting us. So that's the goal of all of this.
Yeah. And I like to say all the time, politics is driven by money.
Yes.
And we don't have the impact like what you said, because we don't have the money. We can't buy the politicians, because that's what the larger companies, the rich folks do. They buy the politicians. We can't do that. This is our way to do that.
Exactly. And so, but at the end of the day, it's about creating jobs. But part of that ecosystem is understanding the impact, that currency from jobs that flows through our community, that has a direct impact on these sidewalk businesses that help sustain that whole ecosystem. And if we can do that and provide that and be a part of that ecosystem, can you imagine the impact that it could have, making sure that young adults have jobs in the community? They're part of programs that are in their community. It's an enrichment that we can contribute to that ecosystem.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. Well, I thank you so much for being a part of my webinar. Thank you for the folks who are in Facebook, who are watching this on Facebook. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me through either Facebook or on my page. Send me a contact message and I'll follow up with you, or I'll have my executive assistant to reach out to you. But we have a team of coaches who are on standby to assist you. And like I say, I'm hoping that if you have any questions, to follow up. And I look forward to seeing you all in the 12-Step Signature Coaching Program. Thank you.